Hello and welcome to another episode of For the Love of Sports. My name is Michael Rasile, and this is the show where I get to talk about sports, I get to talk about business, and everything in between. And today, I have an incredible guest, NBA champion, bronze medal winner, a McDonald's All-American, Richard Jefferson. Richard, how you doing today, man?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me, man.
The pleasure, believe me, is all mine. Richard is joining us on behalf of Shamrock Farms Rockin' Protein, his go-to protein beverage that helps him keep fresh and ready because even in retirement, Richard is staying active and fit. And we are watching a lot of bubble basketball. So I have to ask the first question. I mean, I assume you love it because we got a double bang out of Mike Breen the other day with the Luka shot. So
He could have hit him with I don't know if he's ever done a triple bang, but that could have been a triple bang. So it was awesome, man. I'm loving basketball, man, because obviously we missed so much of sports over these last few months, and our country and the world has been in such a unique place. So getting back to normalcy is something that has been very, very important. And these NBA guys, I'm jealous because I wish I could be contributing to it, but they have not let us down. They have kept the message for what they wanted to fight for and the attention. They've kept it on brand and they have delivered. You know, you look at TJ Warren and you look at what Dame Lillard and what Luka Doncic is doing. And it's been beautiful to watch that these guys were such professionals during the quarantine that some of them I feel like got better during this time where you didn't have access to the courts, you didn't have access to all of the trainers and all of the stuff, but they were so focused and they've shown up.
And with that in mind, considering what's happened with some of these young guys, Lucas specifically, like you get a 3 month period off. That's almost an off season, right? So some of them have taken advantage of this time and had this weird mini off season. I mean, what have you seen specifically from some of these guys who have made these gigantic leaps during this
Well,
period of time?
I think for me personally, what I've noticed the most is that guys were new. I think guys felt like they were always going to come back. None of these guys and a lot of guys took this time to improve their bodies. You look at what James Harden did. You look at what Carmelo did. You look at what Nikola Jokic did. You look at what these guys did over this time, and those are just guys that had notable weight loss. But there are guys that were able to rehab injuries and come back. You saw Nurkic came back, Zach Collins, who unfortunately got injured. But even Giannis, there was talks of like his knee injury was a little bit not more severe. And was going to need a couple of weeks. So for him to be able to get off it, I've actually been impressed too with some of the older players like Chris Paul, LeBron James, these guys that these type of layoffs that can really affect your focus and your routine. It doesn't matter what it is. If you've had the same routine for 15 years, if it gets thrown off, it can take you time to get back. But these guys were all locked in, and it's a compliment to their professionalism.
And I think it's incredible. And again, it's been so much fun to watch and enjoy. And with the uncertainty, I'm kind of curious. Say, let's put Richard Jefferson in the bubble for a second. So you have all this uncertainty. We don't really know what's going on. There's no fans, which kind of stinks, but it's still a lot of fun. From a physical and a mental standpoint, what would you, assuming you'd be there, what would you have done to really keep yourself straight and keep on the straight and narrow to again improve, but also keep yourself very consistent during this time?
It's tough, man. I don't feel for these guys. Like just in the instance, look, Portland has the opportunity. They win game one. So then, lose game two in a tough one, but then game three would have typically been in Portland. That would have been the shot in the arm that they needed to really be like, okay, we're tired. But like going around the entire city, there's Blazer gear everywhere. Walking into that arena, hearing 15,000 people erupt, just it would have been an epic moment. I think this series, they're the most perfect example of, I personally feel, of a series being tied 2-2 instead of 3-1 if they had the opportunity to play in front of their home crowd. So I think it's been difficult for some of these players. And it's not like everything is the same for everyone else, but you also know that there is a residual impact. Even, we talk about Denver or Utah. That series, not so much because both teams play at elevation. Denver even being a little bit more higher than Utah. But normally, Denver has that home court advantage because you're trying to play like at an elevation. And if you're not accustomed to it, like I said, the Utah series is different because both those teams play at elevation, but that's a home court advantage for those guys. And then lastly, I'll say like the Lakers. LeBron James has only played in front of sold out houses and since he was, I don't know, 16.
Mhm.
So for a guy like that to now have to muster up what something different than what he's always known, I think that that has been a little bit trying for him, but I think he's starting to get his rhythm and get into playoff mode.
Yeah, everyone was worried about the Lakers. I know some people that took the bet on the Portland Trailblazers, and I was like, "I don't think so. I'm pretty confident LeBron and AD will figure it out." Did you have
Yeah.
any was there any cause for concern along the way?
100%. The way I would try and describe it to people is that if a gun is sitting on the table, you don't have to be fearful of the gun, but you have to have a certain amount of respect for what that gun could do.
Mm,
And that's the way it is with Damian Lillard. It's not so much that they were fearful of Damian Lillard, but it was like they respected what he is capable of. And I think in game one you saw it. And I think the Lakers, to Portland's credit, Lakers made no shots in game one. They made zero shots. They were god awful. It was like hard to watch. But the Lakers kept with it. And then they hit a couple of shots. Then they hit a couple more shots. And people were like, they can't play big ball. And it's like the way that the reason why the Lakers have to play big basketball is because they don't have elite shooters. And so if you don't have elite shooters, you have to be volume shooters. And the only way for the Lakers to be volume shooters is to get more shots than the other team. That's obvious. And the only way for them to do that is to play big, get offensive rebounds, defend the glass very well. They had 10 more shot attempts than the Portland Trailblazers did in game one. They just didn't make any of them.
mhm.
But if they were to keep that going and shoot 28% instead of 12% from the three-point line, they would have won that game. So the Lakers did a good job of not panicking, staying within themselves and saying like, "Hey, we're going to keep doing. We just got to make a couple more shots." And they made a couple more shots and that's been the difference in the series. But their
It's
defense has been epic.
yes,
39%
especially
every single night. It's been about epic.
yeah, last night watching, obviously 8:24 Kobe night, they had the Black Mamas, they were looking good, they were feeling good, and that game was over within about 3 or 4 minutes, but I watched all of it. I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe it's a
I
me
watched it
thing,
all.
but it
You
was
watch no, you watch it all because you're just waiting for Dame to start hitting half court shots. And unfortunately, he had a little knee tweak, but you're still waiting for it.